I don't like this Stefon Diggs trade for the Texans. Like, I don't think this gets them any closer to a Super Bowl than where they were before the Diggs trade. This, to me, this trade, this move has more bust potential than it does boom potential. Let's dive into it because I want to explain why, because there are both on and off the field issues that I see that it has this trade working out more as a failure than a success. If you're the Texans, right, if you're Nick Caserio, the GM, if you're DeMeco Ryans, the head coach, your offseason goal is, right, how can we narrow the gap between us and the Chiefs to get us close and gives us the best chance of winning a Super Bowl? When you trade for a receiver, like they just did in Stefon Diggs, you got to ask yourself, does this trade make our offense and make our quarterback better? They can't say yes when talking about trading for Stefon Diggs. Let me ask you this, right? Is Stefon Diggs a premier number one receiver in the NFL? I would argue no. And so when you bring him in, does his production make this offense better? I don't think so. This is a guy last year that averaged just 69 yards per game. Is that number one receiver caliber? No. This was a guy that had zero 100-yard games after week 6. Same as me and you. We had the same amount of 100-yard games in the NFL as Stefon Diggs. And this is a guy that in the biggest moments of the season last year for the Bills, in the playoffs, against the Steelers and against the Chiefs, not only dropped the biggest pass of the season, maybe one of the biggest passes in Buffalo Bills history. At home against the Chiefs, that if he catches it, that game probably ends different. The Bills probably slay Goliath, beat Mahomes, and go on to the AFC title game. But instead he drops it, ball in his hands, couldn't make a play. Drops the ball against the Chiefs. And then in the playoffs combined, 10 catches, 73 yards. From a production perspective, you can't argue that this offense got better. That CJ Stroud, his job is easier and he can become a better quarterback with Stefon Diggs on his team. Because the production does not highlight that, does not back it up. He is no longer a premier number one wide receiver. The big problem with that, though, is not only the lack of production, is the fact, though, that not only on the field is he not going to make this offense better, I think off the field, he's not making this team better. I think he's going to be more of a detractor than he will a positive influence. Because you look at how he acts. His stats tell you he's not a premier number one guy. He, though, still thinks in his mind he's a number one guy. So he's going to demand the ball. He doesn't understand whether it was Kirk Cousins, Josh Allen, and Texans fans, you'll see this soon enough, CJ Stroud. He doesn't understand when the ball goes to another receiver why it's not going to him. And he's also not shy about letting whoever his quarterback is know, hey, I'm open throwing the ball. He's not shy about voicing and showing his displeasure. And so now he's not, I think, improving the Texans on the field. And I think he's going to be canceling the locker room off of it. He is a me guy. He cares more about his individual stats than he does team success. That's why he was traded out of Buffalo in the first place. Think about the trade. The Bills got nothing back of significance in 2024. They got a 2025 second-round pick back for Stefon Diggs and are eating $31 million on this year's cap. Why are they doing that? Because they got sick of his antics. Diggs was not happy in Buffalo, despite the fact that the Bills were one of the most winning teams the last few years when he was there. He was upset, though, because he wasn't getting the ball enough, in his opinion. So winning didn't cure his frustrations. So I don't think going to Houston now, coming off of a year in which they won the division and won a playoff game, he's not going to be happy just being a role player, if you will, in a 12-win team. No. He'd, I think, rather get 200 targets on a 3-win team than 75 targets on a 13-win team. He cares more about him than the team. We saw it in Minnesota. We saw it in Buffalo. It ain't changing in Houston. And that's concerning because he's going to be, he's going to be him. Which means being demonstrative on the sidelines, being frustrated when he's not getting the ball. And I think that should be concerning if you're a Texans fan, because the last thing I think you want is CJ Stroud on third down in the third quarter of a game, not thinking about where do I go with the ball, what's the defense doing, is there a blitz here, which receiver can be open, but instead thinking, oh boy, I throw the ball to Stefon one time so far in this game. I know he's going to be pissed if I don't throw it to him on third down. I don't like his matchup. I don't think he could get open, but I got to throw it to him anyway and just hope he can make a play because he's going to be pissed otherwise, so I just got to force him the ball here in third down. You don't want CJ Stroud thinking that. But with a young quarterback, still in year two, still impressionable, I have a hard time seeing CJ Stroud saying, Diggs, sit down, be quiet, I'll throw you the ball when you're open, otherwise shut up, and put him in his place. I don't see that really happening. So I would be afraid that Stroud would acquiesce, would feel internal pressure to throw the ball more to Diggs, not because he's open, but because he's afraid of what's going to happen if he doesn't throw it to him. And you look at that offense now for Houston with Nico Collins, tremendous 2023 season. Tank Dell, really promising and exciting rookie player before he got hurt. You got to think, the future is bright for him in 2024 and beyond. You have on paper, you could argue the best three-headed receiver monster in the NFL going into this season. The problem is, though, if Diggs was upset about his target share in Buffalo when he was the number one guy and there's really no consistent number two, how is he going to act when he is now going to be at times a third fiddle in this offense with two other really capable receivers along with a good tight end in Dalton Schultz, who was productive in the red zone as well? How is he going to handle that? My guess, not very good, which is why I think he's going to be more of a cancer in this locker room than he's going to be a boon on the field. So what the Texans did, right, when they are right now trying to capitalize on Stroud's really positive rookie year and try to win as quickly as they can while he's still on a rookie contract, I don't think they got closer to a Super Bowl. Because what they did was not make this offense better, because you're not bringing in a premier number one receiver, but what you are doing is bringing in a premier number one drama causer. This guy's baggage is heavy, man. There's a reason why he wears those baggy jeans and baggy shirts before the game, because it's hiding all that drama he's bringing into the locker room. And so you got a number one receiver headache without the number one receiver production. I don't see they got better. I don't see how that's going to be a positive for the Texans moving forward. That has me concerned. I don't think this is going to work out. You saw in Buffalo, they had enough. Buffalo, again, gave Diggs away and ate a ton of cap space to do so in a year in which Buffalo's trying to win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. They don't have a number one receiver waiting in the wings. They don't even really have a number two receiver right now waiting in the wings at Buffalo. But they were so sick of his nonsense and his drama, they said, anywhere but here. Now Houston takes that on. I think they're going to regret the trade. I don't think they're going to be satisfied with the production they get and the headaches they'll receive. That's why I look at this trade not getting Houston any closer to a Super Bowl here in the next few years. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though. If you're watching this right now on YouTube, Ryan Hickey is the channel name. Appreciate you watching. Comment below. If you disagree, outline why this is a good move for the Texans, why this offense will be better in 2024. If you're listening on the podcast, where you can find it, Hick at Night, Night spelled N-I-T. Appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Tweet me, Ryan_Hickey and the number 3. Love to hear your thoughts as the Texans. To me, this is one of those moves on paper. This is a trade that looks cool, looks flashy. But in reality, this is more... You know what this trade is? I'll use an analogy to finish off here. This trade to me is like a chihuahua. In the sense that you hear a lot of bark from the chihuahua. Right? They yap at everybody. But there's no real bite, no real substance behind that bark. This trade is flashy. Oh, Stefon Diggs going to Houston. A lot of buzz there. A lot of headline-worthy, names that make it look like Houston won this trade. A lot of bark to this move for the Texans. Not a lot of bite, though. Because Diggs' production is no longer what a premier number one receiver's production should be. But he brings all the headaches, the drama, and being a cancer in the locker room that a number one premier receiver does bring along. That's why, to me, this trade is the equivalent of a chihuahua. All bark, a lot of yapping, no actual substance, no real bite to it.